Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another mod stream. We're chillin'. We're sippin' a drink. We are having a good time. We're about to close out the year, as Dawn in the chat has already observed. Can't believe tomorrow is the last day of 2020. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. But welcome to this mod stream. Nonetheless, I don't have much of an intro for you. I have been working on the review for Dead Space 2, and I do believe that I'll make a decent amount of progress on it today after this mod stream. Maybe I'll even be able to put the finishing touches on it tonight or tomorrow morning. But I should be able to get it out before the end of the year, which is exciting because it means that we can segue into the next actual Let's Play, which I do believe still will be Fear 2 in the near future. So. Oh yeah, let me actually pull up the chat. That might help. But yes, Veek, I'm with you. It's already over, and it doesn't really feel like it was around that long. For some people, though, it's been around for too long. Just saying. So, what's a milestone? New Year's fraud / LP. I'm actually not sure what I'm going to be doing for New Year's Eve specifically, but I would probably prefer to just put out like some more boring content. And I think instead of worrying about making the exact idea there, like making that for sure that will happen, something like that, I'd rather push that off. So I do know that on the 1st, I'm going to be doing another CSGO episode of my Elo Heaven talk show with Vu. And Haka will be coming on as a guest for that, so that's pretty exciting. I also know that for the rest of the day, like Saturday, obviously we have Fraud Strike planned. In theory, I could even start it as early as that, because I was initially having a mod stream, or a map analysis stream for CSGO planned for that morning. But it didn't end up happening in the same way, so... Well, at least the stream that I was planning on doing it with a buddy of mine, Pullman, and he's not available, so I might do something else. I'm not really sure. We're gonna have to come up with some stuff, but so I wanted to talk a little bit about my plans for this stream. You may have caught a glimpse of my to-do list earlier. So I've been writing down some ideas for things that I want to take a look at. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to essentially write down here as far as like things that I'm not satisfied with. And in the Protoss side of things, I'm not satisfied with where the Dark Templar has wound up. And I'm also not really satisfied with the Grand Library in general. I do feel like it's probably too large for what I really wanted it to be. And so, like, I'm okay with it being large, but that large feels a little excessive. So I did want to revise that and improve the build space of it. I'm not really sure how to do that, though. That is very much dictated by the graphics size itself, and obviously upscaling or downscaling a sprite graphic is going to result in some real pain and manual correction. The other thing, too, that we need is we do need to figure out what we're going to be doing about a work animation for that structure. It's actually, I keep forgetting that structure does not have a work animation, and that's really bad. Like, it should definitely have one, so... I'm certainly not happy about that, and definitely something that I want to adjust going forward. Something that I guess I could do as a placeholder is take a version of the Nexus work animation, which is just an overlay, and apply it to the, like, crop out everything but the central piece and apply it to the Grand Library, or maybe even, like, move it around or something. That could be pretty basic, so... I should add that to the list for the Grand Library and say work animation. Honestly, I'm also not really super pleased with how the Dark Archon turned out. Not that the Dark Archon itself is not... I think that the Dark Archon itself is interesting and actually really fun to use. The problem is accessing it, and when Dark Templar themselves are not very compelling in terms of like using them, I do worry that Dark Archons by definition would no longer be that interesting either. Just because you're not really incentivized to use the unit that you're using as a like just making it a stepping stone doesn't really work. So yeah, the structure is a little too large for what it really should be. So I think I'm certainly in agreement with that. I'm not 100% sure what the updated version will look like. I honestly think that even like the robotics facility as well is probably a bit too small for how many units you can actually generate with it now. Since it has a roster of 5 units that it can generate, that's probably an area where there's an obvious imbalance in the tech tree. The obvious issue is how do I make it better, right? I could actually see a world where I almost duplicate the graphic and put the graphic like behind itself, but off to the right or something. So if you could imagine it doubled and like the second copy in the background moved to the right. So the first copy on the left is like the one that you see the whole thing of, but then you also see another copy of it. I guess something like that could be interesting as a way to make it larger. But it is very obviously like an easy way out from an art perspective to just do that, right? So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what we do about that. The art related growing pains, or the art, just pains in general. We might not be growing. The art related pains are really some of the worst ones. Um, yes. So in the classic game, every production structure was the same size. So the barracks, the factory, starport, gateway, Stargate, Nexus, hatchery, lair, hive, command center, except for the robotics facility. Robotics facility was always the one that was different. Um, so I decided, well, maybe not super early on in the whole overall project's lifespan, but many months ago, I decided to shrink the size of the barracks, factory, and starport because of the reliance on add-ons in the new game state. Um, and I also decided that, yeah, actually, the larger scale production structures, they should do something there, right? Like they should be more of an investment. Now, here's something that's an interesting idea that I want to run by people, but I'll throw this in the general category. We'll say like late game. Consider reducing build times for all units trained at advanced production facilities. So what I mean by this is the battle cruiser, the salamander, the penumbra, the phobos, the star sovereign, carrier, arbiter, magister, empyrean, obviously the dark templar, high templar, pariah, the reaver, clarion, barguest, and architect. So anything that's trained from the advanced production facilities, and I guess by definition, like we already have this for Zerg where they have faster larva gestation. I'm not even necessarily saying a blanket buff, but I'm thinking by and large, having it be a rule that these production structures produce units faster comparatively to, or just in general, like they just produce units at a quick rate, maybe quicker than one would expect given the scale of the operation. So maybe they build a Phobos in a minute instead of 80 seconds or 70 seconds or whatever it is right now. I've already buffed the train time of the battlecruiser. I think before it was like 86 or 83 or something. So I actually have dropped that down to 70 already, which probably tells me that, yeah, this is 80. So yeah, Hydra has over, I think we're at 56 or 50. Well, I just calculated units including buildings. So yeah, 57 now with the larval colony. We're at 57 new units and structures. And obviously we've got a couple more planned. So it's definitely by far and away the largest like mod that I've ever encountered anyway. There have been people who have like replaced all of the tech trees, but even that I'm not actually sure. I don't know how many units and structures exist in the base game, in the melee game state. Like I haven't actually done that calculation. But at this point, we're pretty close to splitting even 50-50 with new and old tech. And obviously, I've modified pretty much every default unit in some way. And even if to the point where like something that isn't modified still ends up playing out in a very different way because of how many other changes have happened, right? So What else do we got here? I was in the middle of saying something. So yeah, the reduced build times. I want to run this by some people because in general, I feel like there's a bit of an issue actually with needing so much build space and resources and tech to access these higher tier production facilities. And then on top of it, needing a lot of resources, which I'm personally fine with for the units, but also the time cost. I think the time cost is probably too excessive right now. And so even though some of these units are very powerful, I think I could make their stats more reasonable and also allow you to access these units more in a more sensible way, for lack of a better term. What's this? Oh shit. What a fucking photo from Tittleman. What a guy. See, he's just giving us a reminder to like the stream since I forgot to give everybody a reminder. Thank you, Tittleman. I like that image. Good shit. So actually, Tittleman, you might have been around while I was just monologuing there. Interested in if you have an opinion on this idea, because I feel like just in general, as people who have actually played Hydra pretty recently, like you, Milestone, obviously like myself, Kian, Volka, Veek. Trying to think who else has joined us. Balethal. Icor has been playing a lot for testing purposes, so he might have something to say on this too whenever he pops in. But I think that increasing the ability for some of these late game units to actually be deployed would allow me to make their stats a little bit more reasonable so that they're still very powerful forces, but they're not like basically one of the issues, especially with like the Phobos, for example, that has 1,000 health, is that like I'm essentially giving it an insane amount of DPS and survivability, but making it so difficult to access that it feels like it ends up being a little too binary. In that if you don't, I mean, I'm not saying that this is actually the case, because right now this is not the case. But this exact method, this process, could create units where the only counterplay is to stop them from existing, or to like have enough of a super unit army yourself or something. But I'm also thinking of like re-examining the time cost of most units in the game. I'm not see again. This is something I'm not 100% sure about, because it could end up, especially until we end up like before we have the expanded selection rules. This could end up being a real mess. XDing those replicating units. What do you mean? It deals AoE. Anything that deals AoE is going to do that. Unless it kills them. A paladin attack should deal a pretty decent amount of damage, but I guess the unit is small, so. But yeah, so I'm thinking, for example, what is the reaction that is happening is intended, so I'm not really sure what you're saying I should be fixing. Yeah, well, Bactylisks also deal concussive, so they would shred through the shields, but then come up against all of the armor. So yeah, here's what I'm sort of thinking, right? As a relatively large scale refactor of all of the units in general, is I think that like tier 2 units should be on average like somewhere between 2 and 5 seconds quicker to build. So the siege tank could be down to like 30 at the minimum in terms of a buff, maybe even closer to like 28. Obviously the Goliath is 25 right now. It could be dropped down to like 22, 20 even. Like these are some pretty big changes in the grand scheme of things that will allow you to spend your money quicker. That's not always a good thing. Like sometimes the whole point is that you build the structures. But I think if you've built a structure and built an add-on, the unit's time cost should account for that. It should account for the fact that you've had to put your infrastructure stuff, you had to implement that infrastructure change in order for you to actually be able to train this unit. And so that is a resource cost, a build space cost, a time cost, a tech cost, which is really just like another way of, the tech cost is another way of saying resource, build space, time. It's all that stuff. Yeah, AI specific. Well, I don't think the AI had paladins. You might be thinking of when um, Tiedemann was unallied by Veek, and Tiedemann's paladins started XDing them. But he only had like one or two paladins in the area, so that would be what you'd expect to happen. I think maybe inheriting the HP and shields might be the last nail in the coffin for that kind of like endless regression, unless you really earn it. So that's something that I might look into. But at this point, it's the behavior's working. We fixed that bug with its damage, so should be fine. Oh, paladins are pretty good against mass simulacrums. It's just that you need the upfront damage. You need enough of them is the problem. And critically, like if you only have one or two paladins and there's only 3 or 4 simulacrums, yeah, you're probably fine. But if there's already like 500 of them, then you're gonna need to crank out those penumbras, baby. All right, so in general, I'm thinking reducing build times for, I'll just say all units generally, all military, all non-workers. Emphasis on units that require more infrastructure, build, space, resources. Well, I'll just say tech tier etc. And we'll say bring unit survivability in line with easier access. So this is like lower stats of Penumbra or Architect or whatever. Yeah, you're right about that, Tiedemann. One of the things that I've been thinking about too is that I don't know if I don't know if certain build orders in general or certain, like say I want to go Starport as Terran, I basically need one of the other branches if I want to spend my minerals. Because there's only one unit for air units that costs a minimal amount of gas. It's not even that it costs no gas. Although I think that's correct. I should check that in game. Yeah, so the Wendigo is 25 gas. So even the most the least gas intensive unit for the air builds is going to be 25 gas, right? So yeah, I'm thinking we probably need a way for air builds to manage their mineral counts, but I think maybe the way to do that is just to have barracks, right? Like it's probably fine that not every single branch is completely self-sustainable. For example, the mech branch is not going to be particularly mobile. Like they have vultures and southpaws; those are the most mobile in their army. But you know, you're not going to get very far with just those. Is what I'm thinking. Yeah, you need the gas to make more starports. Yeah. I was actually thinking of increasing Wendigo mineral cost to like 125 and just dropping the gas cost entirely. I am a little worried that the Wendigos might be overpowered in general if they are allowed to get into massive swarms, but that's a problem irrespective of their cost. So, like, if I look at the Wendigo, it only has 80 HP. It's a small unit, so you can get dealt with concussive, like Bactylisks, ghosts, stuff like that. However, it does deal normal damage. It's 10 damage. It's not a particularly lengthy cooldown, as you can see. And crucially, I actually think this tooltip is wrong right now. So it's dealing 10 damage, but it's getting 5 health. So this is actually 50%. So I should probably either revert this change so that it is 25% or keep it at 50. But I think reverting it to 25 and then maybe giving them 1 armor or something is probably fine as a trade-off. So yeah, and then I can probably resolve that. So these are the kinds of things that I like to be able to focus on. We haven't been able to completely resolve all the crashes and stuff, but I like to be able to focus on balancing and thinking of ways to improve the overall way that you can the overall way that you can you play the game, like thinking of ways to improve the title, right? That's what I enjoy. I think it's an update unit state. I think the larval colony, by the way, it's probably going to be a really big boon for the AI. I haven't tested that much, so I don't know for sure, but it's not in here. Okay, I will say Automedicus. So we'll change that. It's the gas cost versus mineral cost, but it's also getting it much faster than you would with a hatchery and with much less build space. You do still need to use a drone, but I think that the Zerg have a lot more. Like they have more opportunities. They have more options now, right? I think it's a massive. Like one of the things that I might end up doing if we go back to Zerg now and look at the larval colony anyway. Like it's only 25 gas. It's not that much, honestly. It is 75 minerals. This is kind of the main contention because you're using 50 for the drone, 75 for the creep colony, and then another 75, which brings you up to 200, which is not that far off from a hatchery. So based on that, this structure is probably actually too expensive relative to the utility that it provides, in my opinion. Just with the like dropping this to 50 or 25 would probably make more sense because then you're using 150 minerals total for the larval colony and 25 gas. And you know it's 20 seconds for the larval colony, 12.5 for the creep colony, 12.5 for the drone. So then 25, a total of 45 seconds. I mean, even this might be too much. Like maybe we drop the build time to 12.5 to be in line with everything else. Like I don't actually know what the it's 12.5 for these, so it might actually make sense to do it that way. Like that's something that I sometimes get a little confused by is like I forget that Zerg structures you have to factor in not just the resource cost, which I often do, of the drone, but the time cost. That's a big part as well. Yeah, because you can get access to it faster, assuming you have tech. Like I think I was debating whether or not to make them available by default, the way that other sunken colony, like sunken colony, spore colony, are. But I think that would make them busted. I think the fact that you have to tech up before you can actually get them, that is a valid thing. Like that makes sense. It's a sensible change. All right, so we'll say. Right. Well, I actually have implemented the new production structures. It doesn't say so on the website, but I have implemented them in game. I haven't given the button. I haven't put the button up. I'm actually not sure if I have space for both buttons. I think I have one. So I could do the Iron Foundry, but I do not have space for a captaincy, I don't think. Okay. Pleasure doing business with you. I think I have to open up a new EXE and then open this. Usually fixes those problems. There we go. Yeah, looks like I only have one spot. What I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about taking the Quantum Institute and wait. What does the Treasury require? Engineering Bay? All right, so I think we should sort of change this up here. With Armory. I'm thinking maybe we just remove the Quantum Institute for now, purely because there's not much that it actually enables. The only thing it enables is the particle accelerator for these two units, And when the Iron Foundry is dealing with the Penumbra, at that point, I don't really think. I think maybe we just make the particle accelerator expensive if we want to make Phobos's have that extra feeling of like teching up, and then there's like a big emphasis on the add-on. But especially considering 900, 900, and 90 seconds for the Quantum Institute, it will make sense. That cost will be sensible when there's tier 4 tech. But there's only 2 units and an add-on. Not enough. And that was something that I was aware of for a while, but I just haven't like really sat down and thought about it. So hopefully this will actually help us out here. I believe it will. All right, so let me go ahead and get the strings for this. So we have 4, 5, 8. Four, 5, 7. And obviously for now, the only thing that it will unlock is the Penumbra. All right, I'm documenting the larval colony change. We'll say automedicus now correctly, or now goes forward. I know I changed it for the Wendigo. It was 125 or 125 and 25. Okay. Still 2 supply, which is fine. And Penumbra. All right, let's rebalance the Penumbra then. Oh, let me actually document stuff like this here. So we're going to say this is 25 and 12.5. That's that. If we jump up to Terran, say Wendigo, 0, 125, 20. Okay. $750 apparently. What a wowee. It was $700 for the ore cost. Okay. And then maybe I need to update its weapon here. Let's take a look at what the damage is. 12 range might be up there. So everything else, I think we're just going to need to play by ear. Let's say... All right. Okay, we've documented those for the Penumbra. Phobos. You're up next, buddy. Yeah, yeah. You're 100% correct about that. I also want to make it a little bit more impactful to charge up the attack speed stuff. So if we look at Phobos Laser, I think the default cooldown is probably too low. And so I want to actually update that. So first we're going to look at Phobos. I'm going to adjust what I said I was going to adjust. This is now 600 and 400 or something. 500, 350. Okay. So if we look at the laser batteries, the Argos laser batteries, the cooldown is probably too low. Like if we do 8, okay. 1.833. What's up, Ikewear? Yeah, they're called Skrylings. I haven't replaced them yet. So basically the idea is you increase the delay between each starting attack, which means it's a little bit harder to scale up its passive, and then it doesn't give you a higher ceiling once the attack speed increase does hit, but it will be better still. It will still be better. Because it will mean that you get to well, it just makes it more impactful if you didn't need it anyway. Compared to what we were just talking about. So, what's unsaved? Was the I don't know what it was. Oh, Phobos itself. Okay. All right, so we've revised all that. And then we have to take the Phobos and move it to... I mean, I guess we can still keep it in tier 4. That is essentially what it is, right? But the particle accelerator will no longer require that, so... That's the only catch. The Penumbra should probably be jumped up to tier 3. I don't know. Doesn't require anything now, so... So tier 3. Okay. What else do we have here? For the nanite assembly, I should get rid of the Penumbra. Yeah, they have the Christmas hats. Infested Terrans are an inside joke unit around here. Because there was a man. He's dead now, sadly. No, he's been excommunicated from the No Frauds Club. But for a while, I was working on HYDRA actually with a guy named Necron, his username, and Necron was also occasionally abbreviated as a capital N. And Necron's like Discord profile picture was just like a screenshot of an infested Terran from the... I think it was the 8th Zerg expansion mission to slay the beast. Either way, it was something like that. It was on the char tile set, the actual tile set. And so he really liked infested Terrans for some reason. So we associated the unit with him. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's actually a really good pin. I don't know where that is. That's from my Eon of the Hawk playthrough. I think this is it. Yeah. All right. I'll turn the audio back for this one. This is back from the days, in the days when I didn't have any worry about being loud or noisy. We killed him. Necron's dead. Happy birthday, idiot! Get a better fucking life next time, moron! Fucking idiot, asshole, moron, mongoloid, retard! Jesus Christ, try not being an Eon of the Hawk! Be in a better campaign next time, fucking idiot! Hey, mongoloid, get over here so I can execute you! Hey, why is my T-key not working? What the fuck? Why is this You just blew your own chamber up, idiot, mongoloid, retard! Holy shit! What the fuck is wrong with this campaign? Jesus Christ, who made this? Who is responsible for this? So that didn't sell you on watching that whole thing. I don't know what will. It's a pretty good one. So, there you go. A classic. All right, what do we got here anyway? Nanite assembly and assembly. It's a dangerous place. So I think in general, okay, so we talked about like I've documented the changes that I've made so far. I feel like we're in the right direction. Mini game to bring Necron to the cranes. I don't know why, dude. It wasn't even like he just died. He just died when he walked up to the crane. There's no logic to it. Like that building was even invincible, so I don't even know how he got the target acquired. It's fucking beyond me. Anyway, let me send DF some things. Okay, so yeah, I think we've done that. Listen, he didn't forget, okay? Don't remind him. Don't make him update the fucking campaign with his stupid crane minigame. Don't do it. I can't deal with it. I can't suffer through anymore. Oh yeah, well you have to slash the drone until he moved to the right direction with some beacon or something, some fucking power up. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and command centers and overlords and pylons and any supply generator. I wonder if I wonder how like some of the unit train times, like the Apostle. I don't know if they are actually that high or what, but I was thinking maybe I can start just blanket buffing everything. Fuck it, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. I just did a calculation where I cut all health by I think I cut it down to 1/3 or 1/4 of what it was normally. I took all attack speed and ramped that up by 33%, and there was something else for unit cost but I don't remember. Maybe that was just eyeballed, but I think maybe I like I also like cut the unit cost and supply down by a third as well or something. But I think like for example, footmen were 1 instead of 2. Grunts may have also been 1, but I think maybe they were only 2. Stuff like that. I might have halved the costs for that or something. I think footman was like 120 gold or something instead of whatever it was normally. Maybe that is the normal one. I don't remember. It was much faster though. That's for sure. Yeah. Just go back, man. The one thing that did get fucked up with my my game state is that the heroes were really overpowered, but that's because they had like the AOE and I didn't change their stats at all. Legends of Arcane is like if every single map that wasn't a stupid micro map was like even more pre-placed shit and grind than in Consummate Map 5, where like some enemies start out with tier 3 upgrades and stuff. Except it's even worse because he leverages some things that you can do in Warcraft 3's editor, like make a bunch of copies of units and give them more health or armor or whatever. He just like pre-places legions, literal legions of enemies, and just expects you to grind through it. And so battles take like, especially since he doesn't change the game state in terms of like the percentage of values or whatever. So these are still like legions of units that have like 1,000 HP each or 600 HP each or something crazy. I was able to pretty easily take down at every single point like why it was a problem. The main issues are like how hard coded stuff is. If you were able to, not to say you need source code, but for Warcraft 3, if you were able to get the AI to behave better, like if you had more, if you had less like hard code associated with the AI, I think you'd be able to make a new game state very easily. Like I made a very quick, like within 1 day, I think did all the math work that I was talking about, and that's still not good. Like it's still not like the best RTS ever, but it made Warcraft 3 way more tolerable. I don't think I don't even have the game installed anymore, but I don't think it would run anyway. That seems like a fair cooldown for the Paladin. Don't have a problem with that. Can't lie, I am tempted to drop marine cost, time cost. Just drop everything's time cost. Yeah, I wonder why so many developers like they take that approach. It feels weird to me. I don't know. I feel like the Southpaw is probably a bit too expensive for the power that it provides. Maybe it needs to be tankier. Yeah, you would never want to like solo with them necessarily. That is certainly true. So some of these time cost reductions are more significant than others. Oh, they have 95 health. I mean, that's not bad. 1 armor is not bad. I guess maybe like the consideration is they do have to get into pretty short range in order to do stuff. I would just do like I would maybe add a bit more, like more lean towards more Cyclops or something. I don't know, but hopefully this patch also makes it a little bit easier for Mech Terran to like once they get the infrastructure rolling, they should probably be able to pump out like Goliaths and tanks and Madrigals more easily since the because of the time cost reductions. Yeah. So Cyclops being hit scan helps. Uh, Obviously Goliaths are going to be better for Panoptises, just based on the explosive damage and the higher direct damage, like higher DPS, but worse against mutas or anything that has like small size. That's a pretty massive buff. Well, it's only, I guess it's 9. It's not that large. Yeah, I think for the Southpaw, I'll just drop it to 20. A clean 20 should be fine. Yeah, I think that'll do it. I mean, maybe dropship could go down to 28 as well. All right. So that's our balance patch for, oh, the Salamander is something I forgot. 30 is probably fine for that unit, but, oh, maybe not because it is meant to be a, I mean, you have to build the nanite assembly for it, so. Okay. I mean, you could, but they're melee, only attack ground. I don't think you would want to. Okay. I'm feeling pretty good about the way that this patch is shaping up, but I do indeed have to use the bathroom, so I think I shall return momentarily. Iquare, I just have a question for you before I do, which is, what do you reckon our next move should be for figuring out these crashes? 'Cause I haven't actually done any testing yet today, but I can do some of that in the background while I'm working on the update here for stats. So I don't know if there's anything else. I don't know if you've done any testing today. I don't know if anybody else has reported any issues. And I guess if you need me to do anything for the file format stuff for I know you need the file format documentation. I've asked DF about it. He hasn't responded to me just yet, but hopefully he's able to dredge something up. But aside from that, like if you need anything from me for other features or whatever, would be cool. I'll wait for you to reply here in a sec. I got to use the bathroom really badly, so BRB. Yeah, as I was asking you that question, Ike, where I realized I hadn't actually tested to see what crashes we actually have. So let me build the latest in debug. Also push my GPTP stuff. Now I need to actually go through and adjust all of these build times. Shaman, the ghost. Not sure about the madcap. Feels like a pretty powerful unit to just. It already feels pretty good, so. All right. Let's go back to PyDat. Continue our run through here. Okay, I think we're good for the Terran stuff. Ikor, I just had a panic. I don't know if you're still on. It's getting towards that window where sometimes he'll sign off for the day. But my panic is the len is 1514, but the index is 6006. So it's mod RS 2842. Not a very useful one, I think. Yeah, there's not enough lines there. I'm guessing this is because I don't have the latest A's files or something. But he hasn't pushed any changes, so. The thing about having multi-race AI is that the AI by default has its unit. So it has its primary worker, it has its supply structure, and it has some other stuff hard coded to the race. So, for example, if it's at a supply cap, say for Terran units, but it's a Zerg race, the player is set to Zerg race. Like in theory, if a human player was there, the Zerg console would be there, the Zerg music would be there, a Zerg advisor. That means that even though they're supply blocked with Terrans, they will build overlords. It's a really stupid way of setting stuff up, and obviously it doesn't work very well. So what we would have to do is rewrite whatever functions are handling getting the default production structure, or like the default worker or the default supply structure is what I meant there. Like maybe I could even find that. Let's see, worker. But I don't even know how they're actually set up. But there's some race check where it's like if the race is equal to Zerg, worker is drone, supply is overlord. Oh yeah, maybe their gas structure will probably be the same way as well. Yeah, I actually wonder if we can give unit AI to a player controlled unit. Would be pretty funny. I once had the thought of like converting an active human player slot into a computer in the middle of runtime to see what would happen. But I think what happens is that because this actually has accidentally occurred in older builds of HYDRA, and you would see no units. The whole map would be revealed, but not revealed. Like the minimap would still show fog, but you would see everything, but no units. That's the AI view, apparently. Yeah, that's the other problem, too. So. Okay. We'll just close that for now because I can't really run tests until I get the EXE or the QDP from Veek. All right. Let's pop in here and take a look. See, I feel like for Protoss, because I adjusted it for Terran, I also want to adjust it for the other races, but I don't know by how much. Like, Protoss are pretty fucking strong as it stands. So. But I'm not sure if this is a race or what. Yeah. Was it before I just did that? See you soon. Holy shit, they cost 4 supply. That's pretty nuts. I feel like that's not how it's supposed to be. Is that even true? No. Goofball. All right. I think we're getting somewhere here. All right, that's that. Now I get to go through all of the units themselves, update them as per my notes. It's everything buff, actually. Oh, I already said this. That's why that was done. Yeah, exactly. That changed real quick. Okay. Well, that does that. Now we get to do the Zerg. All right. Close saved, boys. Okay, I think I've done all of the ones that I need to do. This is going to shake some shit up. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. So whatever. Okay. Epic. What did I set the Elazolith to? Whatever. It's fine. I think I got everything. Yeah, I think I got the weapons too, right? Looks like it. Okay. Pretty sure we're epic. Pretty sure we did it, boys. We've done it all. Can't pile on me. So Balethal, welcome. How you doing, dude? I'm just rebalancing everything in HYDRA, of course. I've mostly targeted build times, train times for units. So I've made most units train quicker. With an emphasis on units that either require a lot of tech or a lot of like build space or some sort of like large investment, basically. Depends on what you mean by customized content. So GPTP handles a lot of our in-game rules that can't be modified using the DAT editing software or iScript or something like that. So basically, the easiest way that I can delineate it is similar to how if you look at the modding starter guide and you look to the tools section. So we've got Python modding suite. And then if you look at what the Python modding suite actually has, it has PyAI, which is for implementing customized AI, like writing custom AI. Well, I write in Notepad++ and then move it over. That's a bit of a separate tangent, but this is for interacting with the game's AI files. PyBin is for interacting with the game's user interface files. PyDat is for interacting with the data files, which handles like unit stats. PyFont is just for fonts, very niche program. PyGot is for game rules. So this is actually for like game templates, I think is what, I don't know what the O is there, but that's what that does. So that's like how I disable cheats, for example, in single player. I use that tool, very niche otherwise. PyGRP is for the graphics. PyIce is for iScripts, which I actually don't use now because I use a different plugin that requires the iScript to be in plain text. iScript is like the animation code that will tell the graphics what to do. And PyLO is for overlays. That's like damage overlays or overlays that direct which where the game positions certain sprites in the middle of animations, like the liftoff and landing dust particles that appear. Those are controlled through overlays, stuff like that. PyMap is just a defunct map editor tool. It doesn't do anything. PyMPQ is what we use to combine all of our files. We add updated files to a new exe or MPQ file. PyPal is for handling palettes, also a very niche program. Same for PyPCX. PySPK is for handling the it's a super niche program as well. It's for the parallax file in the space tile set that controls the background. PyTBL is for editing the in-game strings in various locations. PyTile is for tile sets. PyTrig is for PyTRG is I assume for triggers. I've never used it. So essentially, it boils down to your main tools are PyAI, PyDat, PyGRP, PyIce if you're not using the plugin that I'm using, PyMPQ, and PyTBL and PyTile, with some PyBin for user interface stuff when you need it, but not very infrequently. So because if we break it down this way, it's like this is how you essentially interact with files that already exist. And in those files, there's a finite number of things that you can do. So while you can also interact with files that you are creating, like new GRP files or whatever, the vast majority of times for basic, like more standard modding, I would even say like not even basic, but like most modding up until this point has been done through tools that are like these, even if they didn't, these exact tool set, this tool set didn't exist back in like years ago, tools like these existed. And they were essentially like, that's how we interacted with files that already exist. So that section of Starcraft modding is like mostly handled by this. The other tool that we use for interacting with stuff that already exists is Firegraph, which as you've seen is a buggy piece of shit. And this is how we handle our button sets. This is how we change the requirements that certain units have. So for example, if I wanted to make the Marine require a command center or be trained at a command center, I would use Firegraph to do it, not only to put the button there, but also to make the actual data requirement table accurate for that kind of utility. Basic stuff like that. That's like when you reported that the Hydralisk was not enabled by the Almac enter. What I did was I went to the Hydralisk entry in the DAT requirements section, and I found the fact that obviously Almac enter wasn't here, so I added or must have Almac enter. That's essentially what we do there. So these two sections are your more common ones. The units tab is only used for setup and stuff, so that's basically what that is. We also use Firegraph to load customized plugins. The plugin side of things is where A's and GPTP come in. So GPTP, like I said, handles a lot of our game rules. It stands for General Plugin Template Project. And what it basically is exactly what it sounds like. You can do a lot of generalized things with it. So we have our own fork specifically for HYDRA. We've got our all customized stuff in here. And that's where if you scroll down, so you pass PyMS, you pass Firegraph into General Plugin Template Project. You see here that download a fork GPTP from its GitHub link and install Visual Studio 2019 to write the code. And that's basically where we are. So for the most part, this is what we interact with. A's is a plugin written in Rust, which is a terrible language, dead end for game development, and also just in general, a poorly written plugin, I would say. Like it functions, it's performant, but it's really difficult to read based on the language and also based on the way that it was structured, based on the way that it was laid out. Very similar to how GBTP had a bunch of stuff like that. Like the variable names are all like fucking U and stuff. Like it's just a simulation plugin that's not worth anybody's time. We have to interact with it because that's how most of the, like all of the AI advancements recently in the last, like I would say 3 or 4 years have been done using that plugin. So without that plugin, our AI goes back to the stupid fucking brain dead moron idiot that it was in like 2017, 2016. And obviously HYDRA didn't exist back then, but like my projects all had stupid brain dead idiot AI. And that's all we could ever do without this plugin. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So A's also has some in-game stuff, but we've ported most of the HYDRA-related in-game things over to GPTP just for easier access. And we just essentially leave A's as only almost like a library for improving the AI. So that is pretty much, for all intents and purposes, that's like how you would delineate, how you would separate each section of Starcraft modding. So for editing existing stuff, PyMS and Firegraph. For writing new rules, gameplay rules, GPTP. And for handling AI, unfortunately, we have to use A's. That's what A's is. AI script extension plugin. That's what, or AI script extender or something like that. AISE. So hopefully that was enough of a crash course and not too information dense for you to be able to, understand everything that I said. Feel free to ask me to repeat myself. because I kind of went on a bit of a tangent explaining every single program in PyMS. Speaking of button sets, do you believe it's possible to extend the number of buttons displayed in a single grid? Yes, this has actually already been done by a couple of other mods using a couple of other plugins. The problem is that either we don't have their source code or their source code is incompatible with HYDRA. So we are going to wait until we get... there are a couple of people we can still ask for this. This has just been something that we've been putting off doing. But the other issue is setting up Firegraph to read the extended button sets. I'm actually not sure how we're going to handle the tool side. I would really hope that we can still use this GUI for it, because otherwise we're going to have to configure shit in like a text file or something for the extended button slots. I'm not 100% sure how we would even do that. Still, that's better than not having it at all. So I'll take whatever we can get. But ideally, we would still be able to use HYDRA. Like, okay, the one problem with Firegraph that really just exacerbates all of the issues that it has is that there is no like easy export function. Like I can't go into here and say like, oh, I want to export all of my data requirement table. I can't do that. I can't export it into a text file and then like import it in a new exe. So the reason why this is important is because as a result of this being the way that the program is structured, if the program then corrupts something in your data table, as it has for me in this exe, the only solution is to rebuild from scratch everything that you've done. So you've got to rename every unit again. You've got to go in and apply all of your changes. So that would be all of the unit requirements. Then we'd have to go into upgrades and change all of those. Then we'd have to go into tech and make it so that use tech is enabled for everything. Like we remove the is researched and enabled, or is hero or enabled, or whatever the opcode is. It's like is hero or enabled or must be researched. I think that's like the combo. So we'd have to remove that for all of the tech. And we'd have to update all of the orders. The orders are super niche, like super weird stuff. I'm sure there'd be a ton of stuff that I'd be forgetting. So basically, I would have to manually go through every single entry for units, upgrades, use tech, and orders. I can ignore research tech because it doesn't matter. Then I have to recreate all my button sets. And again, like go down the list. And again, all I would gain from this is that Firegraph would give me back entry 215 for the treasury. And in the DAT requirements, I would still have... where is it? There are 2 units that got eaten by this. So one of them is the treasury. Oh no, the treasury is still here. That's pretty funny. And the... Yeah, entry 118 got deleted from the DAT requirements table. That's the physics lab. If I ever want to change what the physics lab requires, I'm fucked. I literally can't. So, in theory, I think you might be able to hex edit this shit back in. But I have no experience with that. So that's like, for me, that's a blind magic. I don't want to bother. Like, I can't imagine fucking something up and then, like, with my luck, it wouldn't even get reported until way later. So, like, there's no recourse. We have no other tool. And this exe has been worked on in Firegraph for probably, like, years. I would say multiple years now. Now, it's not going to take that long to redo all of the work. It would probably just take one really miserable afternoon. But... I don't know. I probably should do it, even though it's just misery. But the other really frustrating thing is I have no guarantee as to whether or not it'll just happen again, you know? Now, another thing in my advantage is the fact that I haven't done it yet is actually a good thing, because if we do have to rebuild the exe anyway to load extended button sets into Firegraph and edit it in the GUI, then at least I only have to rebuild this fucking thing once instead of having... I've actually done it several times down the years. And at least I don't have to do it any more than one more time in theory. The fact that there is not a guarantee you need to repeat that miserable afternoon. Yeah. Listen, man, I appreciate the offer. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, as Milestone describes it as toolchain risk, that's the thing, is like even after I rebuild the EXE, I have no guarantee that this sort of thing isn't going to just happen again. I don't know what caused it to just randomly eat entries in various tables. I have no idea what happened. I couldn't even tell you. I could not tell you what the cause was. Actually, just out of personal curiosity. So if we open up the exe in PyMPQ, we can actually see a Firegraph directory. I think I've already done this once before, but if we extract these files, and then we edit this FGD with Notepad, fuck, where are we? All right, what's right next to the unit entry here? Larval colony. What is the button set called? It's also called larval colony. I don't know. I actually don't. These look like exe edits, actually. Wait, what's this? You can tell that this is a pretty epic, very organized file. Okay, so this might actually just be something completely unrelated. Oh, that's a binary file of some kind. This is action list, display list, rec list. Okay, so it's not none of these. However, I think there's another folder. It's probably in that FGP file, but we don't have documentation on the format, so. Reasonable. No, none of them. I remember having already looked through it, but I just wanted to confirm again. That's another thing that you'll get. I think this was happening pretty frequently. So unless I open a new exe and then open HYDRA, sometimes this will happen. Oh, of course, it doesn't happen this time. So sometimes, yes, earlier today, I was clicking on button sets and it was crashing the program. Just fucking, nobody knows why. What a fucking mess. Okay, so I think we're in a good position here. Yeah. Amazing is one word for it. Oh. Alright. So let's go ahead and push our tank trees changes here. To user cost. Yeah, there was an update to Firegraph. I'm not actually sure what it did. I think it just enabled more exe edits or something. And exe edits, by the way, are like a poor man's version of a plugin. It's like very, very limited GUI customization of stuff like whether an AI can finish a completed building or whether you can team build with multiple SCVs. It's just like really weird, like knickknacks. Like it potentially useful, but you could just go into a GPTP and do it yourself without having to resort to that. So anyway, all that aside, so we have that. We have we have this Korean update, right? And I don't actually know what it does, but I assume because it's a more recent version, it's obviously Firegraph 0.93, which is what I'm using right now. It's a buggy piece of shit. So 0.94, hopefully it's a better version, right? And it's not made by a rapist. Excellent. Now, the problem with that is that somehow those Koreans managed to bust up pathfinding so that if you like right clicked near a unit that didn't have, like, say there was a unit that you right clicked to near or adjacent to some unpathable terrain, there's like a 50-50 chance, depending on the situation. It would always happen when it triggered. It's just we don't know the exact cause of it. But the unit would just start going to 0, 0, like top left of the map, coordinates. Hilarious. So HYDRA suffered from that, as well as a number of custom campaigns that I updated using that format or using that program. And so I had to go back and rebuild all of those EXEs, including HYDRAs at the time. This is like 2 years ago, I think, maybe a year and a half. And that really triggered me, man. Holy moly, infuriation. All right. It's admittedly it's probably a rare case actually, but I mean a rare like a difficult thing to test. But yeah, that's the worst kind of shit is when they do that. All right, so I think because of what we've just done, yeah, we should be good. Did the MPQ not somehow not get saved? There we go. I just had to. It was just GitHub. Fuck. GitHub desktop. Using GitHub desktop, but not GitHub. Haha. Ha. 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 Okay. All right, I think we're in a pretty good position now to actually ship this patch. I just need to wait for Veek to come online. Trying to think about what else can be achieved here. A multiplayer roguelike game. Color me interested. Listen, right now my only input is guns. Have guns. Guns are important. As Zardoz says, the gun is good. Hell yeah. Oh, we are in debug mode, boys. That is not going to work out very well. Good thing I caught that one. Pretty epic that in debug mode you could just crash in the middle of a multiplayer game for no reason. Well, at the beginning of a multiplayer game for no reason. Bing bong. Selection circle definitely needs to be bigger. I believe so, yeah. Oh shit, the crash might be related to... Oh wait. Actually... No, wait, I have no idea. What the fuck? Excuse me? I'll remake the file. Maybe that will fix it. Unless maybe the treasury doesn't actually have it set up here. I would assume 991 is the correct one. Yeah, that's correct. That is a A's plugin, not AI debugs, so... So I know what happened then. The damage overlay hook that iQuare made is... Wow, this file is a mess. Holy moly. So yeah, the overlay that or overlay stuff that iQuare did was not set up correctly, it looks like. So something about this function is interfering with A's hook of the same function. far as I can tell. All right, so now if I launch this, I should be able to attack this with no issues. Yeah, that was it. So it's something related to extended entries, I guess. If I'm just thinking out loud and assuming some shit, that would be what I would guess. So for the Iron Foundry, for its build space, I'm thinking it needs to be one taller and one wider in terms of units. And its selection circle needs to be maybe 2 sizes up and a lot more stuff there. So let's go ahead and get started on that implementation. Go to open units and sprites and foundry, and we'll say 9 and I don't know, like try 110, see what that looks like. And for the Iron Foundry over here, we'll say we need a replacement box of 160 and 96. And its hitbox is going to have to be up as well. So I'll say 60, 60, 42, 42. We'll try that. Test that out. I can't preview the graphics, so this is me eyeballing stuff. Okay, that definitely seems more reasonable. We'll probably have to drop the lower end. Oh, and that's 2 sizes. That's way too much. All right, drop it back. Yeah, I should have known, actually. Okay, so we have this. Oh, that's actually not bad. Right? Yeah, seems fair. I'll drop the lower end just by like 2 pixels or something. So I'll say down is 40. For a second, it was 420. Yeah, there you go. I don't like that there's no in between way too big and slightly too small. That's pretty goofy. Like the nanite assembly is the next step up, and it's a huge by comparison. Just look at the two of them. The shadow for this is also kind of fucked, but whatever. Okay. I think we're good. I just need the icon from DF, and I think I need a wireframe still from Junzryong for that. Let me see. I may have actually sent those to him a while ago. Actually. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have sent them to him. It's pretty epic that I just like by virtue of having the mod be in public development, people are interested. Like people just come in and they're like, "Oh, what's this? This is cool." And then some of those people end up they end up coming in and like actually contributing, right? So you get people who come in and play, you get people who come in with ideas and all that. And then you get some people like June 3 Hong who probably play it with like their friends every now and then or whatever, but they've just literally, it's gotten to the point where they're like, yeah, just send me stuff when you need wireframes done. I'm like, okay, sure. So it's pretty epic. All right, so yeah, it looks like I thought I was getting excited. I thought I was going to ship this patch today, but it doesn't look like it just yet because we need to wait for both those audio visual assets, but also the I need to get some of the stuff set up for I have to wait for HYDRA to come on and fix the stuff here, so. Yeah, on the website, there's like an I want to help page or something. Yeah, I want to help. There are several ways you can help HYDRA's development. Become fraudulent by giving your thoughts during or after our multiplayer playtesting sessions, organized via Discord. Become epic by creating melee maps and custom scenarios for us to play. Become Ahmed tier by putting your programming and or 2D/3D artistry skills to use. Or you send me and the contributors money. But why would you do that when you can become Ahmed? Epic. So, actually, I don't even know. Are you did I add you to the acknowledgements list? I don't think I did, right? I know I'm missing some men here. Nah, dude, you've been helping. Also known as You're Epic. Here you go. There you go. Naming the lights. So I think we're wrapping things up over here for today. Shorter mod stream than historically, but I've got some other videos to get work done on today, and I really have to eat. So, gonna eat, gonna get a drink, gotta fucking pound out that Dead Space 2 review, editing. Gonna work on maybe another video or something. And yeah, tomorrow's the last day of the year. And there's nothing I would rather do than do more modding on the last day of the year. So I'll probably be back tomorrow for another one. And maybe I'll be around later on tonight for some HYDRA games if there are any going on. There was some yesterday, so pretty cool to see that. Also very motivating when people are like, fuck yeah, dude, let's play some HYDRA in the middle of like any time. That's been pretty regular, so pretty nice. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks everybody for hanging out, and see ya very soon. You.